Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's college basketball, NBA, and NHL games. Look ahead to tonight's slate in each of those sports. My NBA power rankings, another free agent signing in Major League Baseball. We'll preview tonight's episode of The Masked Dancer and my best bet of the day. All right, we'll start in college basketball. We will go over the results from yesterday's small-ish window and look ahead to today's decent-sized window, but not a big, not too small of a slate. Towson over UNC Wilmington, 78-74. Kent State over Buffalo, 84-81. Longwood over High Point, 75-54. Purdue over number 15, Ohio State, 67-65. Oklahoma over Kansas State, 76-50. Florida over number 6, Tennessee, 75-49. Number 7, Michigan over Maryland, 87-63. Number 19, Missouri over South Carolina, 81-70. Radford over Campbell, 97-91 in triple overtime. Oregon State over USC, 58-56. Butler over DePaul, 67-53. Syracuse over Miami, 83-57. Southeast Missouri State over Tennessee State, 63-59. Winthrop over Presbyterian, 72-58. UNC Asheville over Gardner-Webb, 79-75. Toledo over Central Michigan, 89-72. Miami of Ohio over Ball State, 81-71. Akron over Bowling Green, 69-57. Number 22, Illinois over Penn State, 79-65. Number 3, Villanova over Seton Hall, 76-74. Number 18, Alabama over LSU, 105-75. What a win for Alabama. They're playing very well. Loyola Marymount over San Diego, 72-69 in overtime. Pitt over Duke, 79-73 is best bet. Does not work out. Utah State over Colorado State, 83-64. And Ole Miss over Mississippi State, 64-46. All right, looking ahead to today's window, 1 o'clock, you have Fordham and Davidson. My line for this matchup is Davidson by 14.5, and Davidson is favored in this matchup by 17.5. I'm going to take Fordham in the points. I don't like the pick at all, but yeah, I have the edge on Fordham, and that's where I'm going to go for this pick. Alrighty. 4 o'clock, East Tennessee State and Western Carolina. My line is East Tennessee State by 7.5. And I don't see a line here for this game. 5 o'clock, Winthrop Presbyterian. My line is Winthrop 29. Don't see a line yet. Mercer Citadel. My line is Mercer 6.5. Or I'm sorry, Mercer 6 and it's 6.5. Total's 171.5. Ridiculously high. But normally, when you see a total so high, it's like automatic under. Not so fast. I'm taking the over. It's juiced at minus 112, though. 6 o'clock, VCU St. Bonaventure. My line is Bonaventure 1.5. And it's 2.5, total 137.5. And I'm going to take the under. And a juice number at minus 114. Rhode Island Duquesne. My line is Rhode Island 3.5, and it's 5.5. I'm taking Duquesne in the points. High Point Longwood. My line is High Point 5, and it's Longwood 1.5. I'm taking High Point plus the 1.5 and plus 108 straight up. Next up, 7 o'clock, Fox Sports 1, Providence at number 11, Creighton. My line is Creighton 11, and Creighton's favored by 9.5. Total's 145.5, and I'm going to jump on the over at minus 106. ACC Network X, number 20, Clemson at Georgia Tech. My line is a pick'em, and Georgia Tech's 1.5 point favorite. Total 129.5, and I'm going to take the over. But I think it's a barely over. Radford Campbell, my line is Radford 1.5. And I don't see a line yet for this game. Loyola Chicago at Valparaiso. My line is Loyola 10, and it's 11.5. Total's 130.5, and I'm going to take under 130.5 at minus 114. ACC Network, Wake and Carolina. My line is Carolina 15.5, and it's 11.5. I'm going to lay to 11.5 at North Carolina at minus 104. St. Joe's and George Mason. My line is George Mason 8. And George Mason's favored by 8.5. Total's 152.5. I think that's pretty high. I'm taking the under at minus 112. Kentucky, Georgia. My line is Kentucky 11.5. And it's 3.5. I'm going to lay to 3.5 at Kentucky against Georgia at minus 112. I promise you that won't be my best bet because we all saw what happened with Duke last night. And Kentucky's been a major disappointment, as we know, this season. UNC Asheville and Gardner-Webb. My line is Asheville by 9. And I don't see a line yet. For whatever reason, the Big South hasn't been out yet. No Big South lines yet, which is weird. Furman and VMI. My line is Furman 14. And Furman's favored by 9.5. I'm going to lay to 9.5 at Furman at minus 118. A lot of postponed games. 7:30, you have Southeast Louisiana and McNeese. My line's McNeese 2. And McNeese is favored by 2.5. Total 147.5. I'm taking the over at minus 114. Northwestern State and Stephen F. Austin. My line is Stephen F. Austin by 15.5. It's 13.5. I'm going to lay the 13.5 at minus 114. 8 o'clock, Tulsa, number 6, Houston. My line is Houston 10.5. And Houston's favored by 11.5. Total's 126.5. And I'm going to take the under at minus 112. Big Ten Network, Northwestern at number 10, Wisconsin. My line's Wisconsin 17.5, and it's 10.5. I'm going to lay to 10.5 with Wisconsin. A&M Corpus Christi at New Orleans. My line is New Orleans by 3, and it's 3.5. Total's 140.5. I'm going to take the over at minus 108. Next up is Nichols and Houston Baptist. My line is Nichols 19, and it's 7.5. I'm going to lay to 7.5 at Nichols at minus 114. Chattanooga, Samford. My line is Chattanooga 6. And they're a 1.5 point underdog. I'm taking Chattanooga plus the 1.5 at minus 118 and minus 102 on the money line. San Diego Christian, Cal Baptist, we can skip. Bradley, Illinois State. My line is Bradley 12.5. And Bradley's favored by 8.5. We're going to lay at 8.5 with Bradley at minus 106. I almost said 108. ESPN 2, 9 o'clock, Colorado, Washington. My line is Colorado 12. And it's 12.5. Total's 143.5. We're going to take the over at minus 114. Fox Sports 1, Fresno State, Boise State. My line is Boise 12. And Boise's favored by 14.5. I'm taking Fresno plus the 14.5 at minus 114. Auburn, Arkansas on the SEC Network. My line is Arkansas by 5, and it's 5.5. Total's 157.5. I'm going to take the... I'm going to go with the under at minus 114. I don't feel good about it, though. And last but not least, 9:30, you have Abilene Christian, Sam Houston State. My line is Abilene Christian by 4, and it's 3.5. Total 141.5, and I'm going to take the over at minus 112 for my last podcast pick for college basketball of the day. Now we'll do NBA. We will look back on the 2 games from yesterday and look ahead to a very busy slate in the association for today. And without further ado, here we go. Nuggets over the Thunder, 119-101. The Nuggets are 7-7. OKC 6-7. Nikola Jokic, 27 points, 12 boards, 6 assists. And Nugent Dort had 20 for the Thunder. Jazz over the Pelicans, 118-102. The Jazz are 10-4. New Orleans is 5-8. Donovan Mitchell had 28 points for the Jazz. And Zion Williamson had himself a game. 32 points for last year's number 1 overall pick. 11 games on the board today. Actually, no, it looks like 10. Yeah, it's 10. One of them was postponed. Right, so you have the Nets and the Cavaliers at 7 o'clock. My line is Brooklyn 11.5, total 218. And the line is Brooklyn 10. We don't have a total yet. And if it's anything under 216.5, I'm taking the over. And if it's anything over 219.5, I'm taking the under. And I have a 1.5 edge on the Nets, so I'm going to lay the 10 with Brooklyn for now. Mavericks Pacers, my line is Dallas 2.5, total 218.5, and it's Dallas 1, total 219. So 1.5 edge on the Mavs and the 0.5 point edge on the under. Got to lay the 1 with the Mavs. I don't like the pick. ESPN 7 o'clock, Celtics 76ers. My line, Philly 6, total 222, and it's Philly 4.5. We don't have a total yet. And if it's anything beneath 220.5, I'm taking the over. And if it's anything above 223.5, I'm taking the under. So right now I'm going to lay the 4.5 with the Sixers and a juice number of -114. 7:30 Pistons Hawks. My line's Hawks 8, total 221.5, and it's Hawks 5, total 221. I'm going to take the Hawks minus the 5 here. Heat Raptors, my line's a pick'em, total to 23.5. Meanwhile, it's Raptors by 4. I'm taking Heat plus the 4. Bam Adebayo, maybe Tyler Herro back. We don't know about Dragic, no Butler, which is unfortunate. But I think this is a closer game even without Jimmy Butler. 8 o'clock, Orlando, Minnesota. My line is Orlando 7, total to 20.5. And meanwhile, it's Orlando 3.5. We don't have a total yet. And I'm going to lay the 3.5 with Orlando for now. 9:30 ESPN Suns Rockets. This game has no business being on ESPN now that James Harden's no longer a member of the Houston Rockets. My line is Phoenix 11.5, total to 20. And it's Phoenix 5.5. We don't have a total yet. I'm going to lay the 5.5 with the Suns at -112. Next up, you have San Antonio and Golden State. My line for this is Golden State 3, total 224. Meanwhile, it's Golden State 1.5, total 227.5. And I'm going to take the under in this game. I don't feel super about it, but I just think that's a high total. Next up, Sacramento and the Clippers. My line is Clippers 10.5, total 230.5. Meanwhile, it's Clippers 10, total 232.5. I have to take another under. I have a 2-point edge on the under. So give me under 232.5 between the Kings and the Clippers. And last but not least, Grizzlies Blazers. I project this as a pick'em, total 222.5. Meanwhile, it is Portland 1, total 222. So a 0.5 point edge on the over, 1 point edge on the Grizzlies. I'm taking the Grizzlies plus the 1 and -102 on the money line. I think they win the game outright without McCollum and Nurkic. And by the way, no, I forgot to include account for McCollum on here. And McCollum is worth a lot to the spread, more than you would think. So actually I would project this Memphis by 3 without McCollum and without Nurkic. So I'm definitely taking Memphis to win this game outright. And this is a game that should be on ESPN, not the Rockets game. I'm sorry. Memphis, Portland. Or even San Antonio, Golden State. But I know the Spurs really aren't that special. But they are both better games than Rockets, Suns without James Harden. That's for absolute sure. Alrighty then. Now move on to the National Hockey League, as we will go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to a busy slate today on the ice. Devils over the Rangers 4-3. The Devils 2-0-1. Rangers 1-2-0. Number one started game with 2 goals and assists. Jack Hughes, number 2, started game with 47 saves on 50 shots. Mackenzie Blackwood, number 3, started game with 2 assists. Adam Fox. Flyers over the Sabres 3-0. The Flyers are 3-1-0, and Buffalo is 1-3-0. Number 3 started game with no points in the game, which just played well. Ivan Provorov, number 2, started game with a goal. Travis Kelce, the number 1 started game with 40 saves on 40 shots. Brian Elliott. Panthers over the Blackhawks 5-4 in overtime on a game-winning goal by Frank Vatrano. Florida 2-0-0. Chicago 0-3-1. Number 3 started game with 2 goals and assists. Dominic Kubalak. Number 2 started game with 2 goals. Carter Verge. And the number 1 started game with the overtime winner, Frank Vatrano. Penguins over the Capitals 5-4 in overtime on the game winner by Sidney Crosby. Penguins 2-2-0. Washington 2-0-2. Number 3 started game with a goal and an assist, Teddy Bluger. Number 2 started game with 2 goals, Tom Wilson. And the number 1 started game with the overtime winner and 2 assists, Sidney Crosby. Jets over the Senators 4-3 in overtime on a game winner by Nikolaj Ehlers. Jets 2-0, Ottawa 1-1-1. Ehlers obviously scored a game winner. Kyle Connor had a power play goal. Mark Sheffley had a good game. Chris Tierney had a nice game for Ottawa. He had a goal in this game. Ottawa was up 3-1, and Winnipeg came back and got it in overtime. Red Wings over the Blue Jackets 3-2 in overtime on a game winner by Tyler Bertuzzi. Detroit 2-2-0. Columbus 1-2-1. Number 3 started game with the overtime winner and an assist, Tyler Bertuzzi. Number 2 started game with the goal, Bobby Ryan. Number 1 started game with 2 assists, Dylan Larkin. Avs over the Kings 3-2. The Avalanche were up 3-0 in this game. And then the Kings came back with 2 in the third to make it interesting. As Colorado goes to 2-1, and the Kings go to 0-1-2. Number 3 started game with the goal, Andreas Athanasiou. Number 2 started the game with the goal, Devin Taves. Number 1 started the game with 2 assists, Nathan McKinnon. All right. 5 games tonight, 7 o'clock NBCSN, the Oilers and the Maple Leafs. Maple Leafs are minus 164, Edmonton plus 138, over under 6.5, overs minus 120, unders plus 100. Maple Leafs puck line minus 1.5 is plus 160. Edmonton plus 1.5 is minus 190. I am going to take the over at minus 120. This feels like a lock to me. You have either Mike Smith or I forget the Oilers' their starters' name for Edmonton. And then you have Freddie Anderson going. Mikko Koskinen. And then Freddie Anderson going for Toronto. I'm definitely taking the over regardless of who's in net for either side. 9 o'clock, you have the Sharks and the Blues. The Blues are minus 200. Sharks plus 168. Over on the 5.5. Overs minus 125. Unders plus 105. Blues minus 1.5 is plus 138. Sharks plus 1.5 is minus 164. Another over here. I think that the Blues could do this by themselves. 9:30 NBCSN. You have the Wild and the Ducks. An interesting game on NBCSN. Wild minus 138. Ducks plus 118. Over under 5.5. Overs plus 105. Unders minus 125. Wild puck line minus 1.5 is plus 210. Ducks are plus 1.5 at minus 255. I'm going to take the underdog here in the Ducks, plus 118. I like how they played the other day against the Wild. I think that they can win this game. I think that John Gibson is better than Capo Kakinen or Cam Talbot. So give me plus 118. John Gibson and the Ducks for me as the pick for there. 10 o'clock, Canadians, Canucks. Canadians minus 134, Canucks plus 114, over under 6.5, minus 110 each. Canadians minus 1.5 plus 198. Vancouver plus 1.5 is minus 240. I'm taking the underdog Canucks here plus 114. I just don't love the Canadians at all. So give me the Canucks plus 114. And I think that their offense can come through here a little bit. And I think that whether it's Braden Holtby or Thatcher Demko, I think that they can win this game. And then last but not least, Coyotes, Golden Knights. Golden Knights minus 110, or 210, my bad. Coyotes plus 176, over under 5.5, overs minus 120, unders plus 100. Golden Knights puck line minus 1.5 is plus 136. Coyotes is plus 1.5 is minus 162. Let's try this again. I'm taking the under again in this matchup, plus 100. Empty net goal is what killed this under last time, and I think it could be lower scoring. So give me Vegas to probably the win, but I like the under 5.5 at even money as my pick for this game. NBA power rankings for today. We have not done NBA power rankings yet this year. We're a month into the season already. And here are the power rankings. I'll just talk about every team and what their record is and all that. All right, number 30 is the Detroit Pistons. They're terrible. They're the worst team in the league. They're 3-10. We don't have to talk about Detroit very much. Jeremy Grant's put up some good numbers, but they're still bad. 29, the Houston Rockets. No James Harden, you're automatically the second worst team. They're 4-8. Victor Oladipo put up numbers, but the question is, what happens with PJ Tucker? Does he get bought out? Do they trade other players? Eric Gordon could help somebody. Number 28, the Minnesota Timberwolves. They are 3-9, the worst team in the West, record-wise. D'Angelo Russell's played well this year. Karl Anthony Towns has COVID, unfortunately. Hopefully he gets well soon. Number 27, the Washington Wizards are 3-8. They've been a major disappointment. If you ask me who's the next big star to get traded, it's Bradley Beal. There's going to be a lot of teams lined up potentially to go out and get him. Maybe Philadelphia. Maybe somebody else like Miami. Number 26, the Sacramento Kings, they're 5-9. Tyrese Halliburton's been an impressive rookie thus far for them. De'Aaron Fox is awesome. And they have some other young players that I like as well. Number 25, the New Orleans Pelicans are 5-8. Zion's putting up his stats. Lonzo Ball's been hurt. Brandon Ingram is putting up career highs, improving on his most improved player award from last year, amazingly enough. But they're just not good enough. 24, the Chicago Bulls. They are 6-8. Not sold on them as a surprise team in the East. They're great offensively, but they suck defensively. And I like some of the young guys they have. 23 is the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are 6-7, currently in the 7th spot in the Eastern Conference. I don't think that's going to last. Their offense is too bad. Their defense has been a major surprise this season. And that's credit to J.B. Bickerstaff. And Colin Sexton's improved, obviously. Number 22, the Atlanta Hawks. They are 6-7, tied with the Cavaliers for the last two playoff spots in the East. Trae Young's been awesome, but the rest of the team has been meh. DeAndre Hunter actually has made improvements, which I expected this year. Number 21, the New York Knicks. They are currently in the 6th spot in the Eastern Conference. They are 7-8 at the moment. They've been a major surprise this season thus far. That's credit to Tom Thibodeau, who's come in and really changed the culture there. But I don't think it's going to last. Their offense really isn't that good. And their defense is very good, though. That's credit to Thibodeau. R.J. Barrett's improved. And Emmanuel Quickley looks like a steal from the draft this past year. Number 20, the Toronto Raptors. They are 5-8. I just think that they're better than a couple of those teams that have better records than them. They've been disappointing thus far. Pascal Siakam's taken a step back. Number 19, the Charlotte Hornets. They're 6-8. I've been impressed with Charlotte. Gordon Hayward really has been awesome for them. Devontae Graham, LaMelo Ball's shown some promise. Number 18, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are 6-7. They've been a pleasant surprise early on. Their new coach has done a nice job. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's carried them in a bunch of these games. Number 17, the Orlando Magic. They are 6-8. They've been a little disappointing thus far. No, Jonathan Isaacs obviously hurts them. Number 16, the Miami Heat. They're this low because they've underachieved. I know Jimmy Butler has COVID. He's been out. And Bam was out for a while. And they have some other guys out as well. I think they'll turn it around, though. I believe in our Spoelstra and company. And I think they're a candidate to make a panic trade. Like what Brooklyn kind of did with James Harden. Maybe with Bradley Beal. And then they package Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Herro, and picks to Washington. And then they have a big three of Bam, Beal, and Butler. The 3 Bs. That'd be awesome. 15, the Dallas Mavericks. They've been a big disappointment thus far. They are 6-7. Many people thought that they were going to be a challenger for the Lakers in the Western Conference. They have not shown that yet. Kristaps Porzingis is just coming back from injury. Luka Doncic has really started the year out of shape. 14, the Denver Nuggets. They are 7-7. They've been disappointing thus far. No Michael Porter Jr. has hurt them. Number 13, the San Antonio Spurs. They've been a really fun surprise so far this year. They're 8-6. The veterans are leading the way with DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge. DeJounte Murray's been pretty good. Keldon Johnson's improved. That's credit to Craig Popovich, who continues to get a lot out of these players. 12, the Memphis Grizzlies. They're 7-6. They probably would have had a better record if John Morant didn't get injured. And I think John Morant's going to have a really big year. Number 11, the Golden State Warriors. They're 7-6. A little up and down. Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins off the slow start. Stephen Curry again. And if the Warriors go on a run here, I think Steph Curry can make a run for the MVP, challenging LeBron and Giannis and Kawhi Leonard and all these guys in play. Number 10, the Portland Trailblazers. They're also 8-6, but they probably should add them lower because of no McCollum and no Jokic. And they're going to miss those guys, obviously. Damian Lillard, though, has potential to carry them. 9, Indiana Pacers. They are 8-5. They pull off the Oladipo, Karis LeVert swap. LeVert's hurt right now. Hopefully he gets well soon. Number 8, the Phoenix Suns. They are 7-5. Chris Paul's really changed the culture there already. Devin Booker's playing well. DeAndre Ayton's been very good. Mikal Bridges has been awesome. Number 7, the Boston Celtics. They are 8-4. They had that terrible loss to the Knicks on Sunday. That was one of the worst losses any team's had all season. I know they didn't have Jason Tatum, but you should still be able to beat the Knicks without Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown's improved, obviously. Tatum is going to be back probably next week at some point, assuming he's cleared. Kemba Walker's already back for them. Number 6, the Los Angeles Clippers. They're 10-4. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George have been playing well. Marcus Morris has had a couple good games. But their defense, I think, has slipped. And Ty Lue's done a nice job, though. Got to give him credit. 5, the Milwaukee Bucks. They're 9-5. They've started to play better. Giannis, despite the free throw issues, has been Giannis. Drew Holiday's fitting nicely there. Number 4, the Brooklyn Nets. They're 9-6. James Harden and Kevin Durant's off to a good start. Kyrie Irving's supposed to be back this week. We shall see. It'd be fun if he came back tonight against his former team and put up like 40 against the Cavs. You know he's going to be motivated to play the Cavs if he comes back tonight. Number 3, the Utah Jazz. They're 10-4. They've been awesome. Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert have just been spectacular. And if Bogdan Bogdanović wasn't hurt last year, then they would have advanced past Denver for sure. And they probably would have swept them. Instead, they were up 3-1 and lost in 7. Number 2, the Philadelphia 76ers. They are 9-5. Obviously, they didn't have Joel Embiid for a couple games and Seth Curry because of the of COVID. Ben Simmons was injured. And I think that this Philly team has a real shot to get to the finals. I thought that they were going to be the team that was going to trade for James Harden. That's why I picked them preseason to come out of the East. But they've been a lot better than I thought, even without pulling off the James Harden trade, because of Tyrese Maxey becoming the guy he is, and also Matthias Thybulle. And their depth is really, really strong. And I think they are a candidate to pull off like a Bradley Beal type of trade. And number 1, if there wasn't any doubt, the Los Angeles Lakers. They're going to be number 1 until further notice. LeBron James is still the best player in basketball. Anthony Davis has been awesome. Dennis Schroeder's been a shrewd pickup. Montrezl Harrell's been another awesome pickup. Marcus Saul, another great pickup. Those 3 have all produced. Contavious Caldwell-Pope's really good off the bench. And sometimes he starts. And then Wesley Matthews has been good as well. So the defending champs are number 1 on the rankings, as you obviously all were expecting. And then tomorrow I'm going to do NHL Power Rankings. Breaking news in the NFL, Phillip Rivers is retiring. This shouldn't come to a surprise at all. Obviously, one of the best quarterbacks to never make the Super Bowl, if not arguably the best quarterback to never make the Super Bowl. Obviously, all those years with the Chargers, and then last year with the Colts and Frank Reich helped leading the Colts to the wildcard round and lost, though, to the Bills. And Phillip Rivers, I think, despite not being in the Super Bowl in his career, should be a Hall of Famer. He had some great players in his career, too. Antonio Gates. Damian Tomlinson. And then Keenan Allen with the Chargers as well. But yeah, he's had some really good players, both with its stops with the Colts and the Chargers, obviously. And he's going to be remembered as a Charger, just like Eli Manning's going to be remembered as a Giant. And Ben Roethlisberger will always be remembered as a Steeler. But obviously, those 2 quarterbacks I just mentioned are lifers with their teams. But Rivers is going to be remembered like how Peyton Manning with the Colts, Brett Favre with the Packers, Tom Brady with the Patriots, Drew Brees with the Saints eventually when that time comes. It could very well be this year. And it looks like that he's going to be retiring too, but Brees has not announced that yet. So that's why we won't really get into Brees that much in this segment. It's about the great Phillip Rivers. And obviously, he has all of his kids. He has a total of 10 or 11 kids, which is crazy. But yeah, now just leaves the Colts without a quarterback at the moment. Do they go with Jacoby Brissett, or do they draft somebody, or do they trade for somebody that's not happy, like a Carson Wentz or a Sam Darnold or somebody like that? Deshaun Watson. Ooh. But I don't know if they would do that, though, because they're in the same division, but that would be an interesting idea. And that would obviously make them as a Super Bowl favorite if they were able to land Watson. But I think wherever Watson goes, they become a Super Bowl favorite, except if it's the Bears or something like that, because I still think the Bears have roster problems. But yeah, Phillip Rivers retiring. Congratulations to him on a wonderful career. Sans not making a Super Bowl. I remember they made the AFC Championship game back in the 2007 season and nearly knocked off the undefeated Patriots. But the Patriots pulled through and wound up going to the Super Bowl, but wound up losing to Eli Manning and the Giants. So that's the closest Rivers has ever come to a Super Bowl. And then there's been a couple years with the Chargers that they've underachieved and they pinned it on him. But their defense wasn't good some of those years. And that's not on Rivers. So, yeah, should be in the Hall of Fame. And I'm interested to see what he does post-football. Does he go into broadcasting? I think he'd be a really good broadcaster. I could see him being a Tony Romo type of broadcaster. Very energetic and, into it. But we'll just see what's in Rivers' future. But we know that Drew Brees, we think, will go into broadcasting. Now we'll talk about a Major League Baseball free agency signing, and that is George Springer to the Toronto Blue Jays. 6 years, $150 million. I think that is a really great signing by Toronto. Springer going to be making $25 million a year. They needed help offensively in the outfield. And they got the started. They've been craving all offseason. You heard the rumors about DJ LeMahieu, but they didn't go there. He wanted to go back to the Yankees. And ultimately they settled on Springer 6 years, $450. And it's amazing that he got that contract. Amazing. And I think they're paying for they're banking on his potential. And he's been money in big games, a ton of homers in big games. He's a World Series MVP. And it's funny because in the 2017 playoffs, he was a 0 against the Yankees. And then ultimately, he turned it around. I remember he had a home run in Game 7, if I'm not mistaken. And then he was awesome in the World Series and wound up winning the MVP of the World Series in that 2017 run. Although they did cheat. Let's not forget that. But yeah, George Springer, that said, he's a really good player. And I think that contract, potentially at the end of it, could look bad. Because Springer is getting up there in age. He is 31 years old. So that contract does potential have it to look bad at the end. But yeah. So Toronto has Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and George Springer in the outfield. And there's rumors that they might bring in Michael Brantley, which would be crazy. And then they have Vlad Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, Cavan Biggio, Danny Jansen. And they still got to make some improvements in the pitching staff. I know they have Hyunjin Ryu, Tanner Pearson showed promise last year, but they still need some help pitching-wise and in their bullpen. They're still the number 3 team in the American League East, in my mind, even with the Springer move. But they're heading in the right direction, that's for sure. They're the clear number 3 team in the AL East with Boston rebuilding and the Orioles, obviously, they're the Orioles. And now we'll talk about the Masked Dancer. new episode tonight, the return of Group A. We haven't seen these fellas in a couple weeks. 4 left, obviously. The top 3 go to the Super 6, and the loser goes home. We have Exotic Bird, Cricket, Tulip, and Hammerhead. Hammerhead was strong. There was a necklace. He was fast, and there's a shark in there. A Joe cup of Joe. This person was famous too fast. This person thought that their best moments were behind them, and they weren't happy. There's a painting. There's a clock that showed 6 o'clock. And then there's something with learning, love, and life. And this person performed Everybody by the Backstreet Boys. And there's a clue in the performance that this performance at the end, Backstreet's back, all right, and did the fist pump. They do that in the movie This Is the End. So I think this is somebody from that movie, and I went with Seth Rogen. And Word Up was dramatic. Paula Abdul said Joe Jonas, and Brian Austin Green said Zac Efron. The Tulip, there's a picture frame. There was a mini C with the number 11. The song that was bullied. Acro Club. Glee Club. Somebody that lost confidence. There's a rainbow clicking heels. Maybe this is somebody from Wizard of Oz or had involvement. And then they said, we're all in this together. That's obviously a song from High School Musical. And this person did a tap dance to Fergalicious by Fergie. And there's a TikTok sign there. And the Word Up was triple. Could this be a triple threat? Triple turn. I guessed Maddie Ziegler of Dance Moms. Ashley said Charlie DeMillo. Paula said Ariana Grande, and Ken went with Heather Morris. Cricket was tall. There's rhinestone on the teeth. There's a casino, Vegas, a crown. 90210, and then a couple more O's. No love, a horseshoe. There is 10, and then a 3X, and then there's hints about Rock and Apprentice. There's 4 aces. And this person did a performance by Jump for My Love by the Pointer Sisters. Their Word Up was accomplished, and I went with former Giants defensive end, Michael Strahan, and currently on Good Morning America and the NFL Today on Fox. Ken Jeong went with Green Lantern. Brian Austin Green went with Ian Zeron and throughout Jim Carrey and Ace Ventura. And Ashley Tisdale went with Ashton Kutcher. And then the Exotic Bird, there's a track, there's a bang flag, there is Rain, Perfume, 17, talks about life as a teenager and how they're attacked and the life wasn't easy. Somebody that's been in a lot of hard relationships. Best by 2007. This is someone that was popular in 2007. A Broken Egg. This is someone that's tall. And they performed a routine to Con Calma by Daddy Yankee. And the Word Up was Scored. So that had me thinking gymnast. And I went with U.S. Olympic gold medalist Gabby Douglas. Brian went with Hope Solo, but she's a goalie. If this was a soccer player, then it should be a forward, not a goalie. And he also threw out Marion Jones. Paula went with Jennifer Hudson. And Ken Jeong went with Venus Williams, which I don't think was a bad guess. The person that I think is going home tonight will be the Hammerhead. And I think that this is going to end up being Seth Rogen, as Tulip, Cricket, and Exotic Bird will all advance to the Super 6. Last but not least, my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. There are some interesting ones on the board for sure. I don't love a lot of these plays, but my best bet tonight will be in the NBA. And I'm going to lay the 5 with Atlanta against the Pistons. I just don't think the Pistons are very good. And I think that Trae Young can lead them to a win here. So give me the Hawks -5 against the Pistons. So there you have it for best bet. And for the podcast tomorrow, we'll talk about the inauguration of Joe Biden and how that all will go down. Because I didn't have time for it today because it's actually the day is still going and the inauguration has not happened yet. So we'll talk about that on tomorrow's show. We'll recap the Masked Dancer, and we will go over the hockey, NBA, and college basketball games, look ahead to tomorrow's slate of games, and also do my NHL power rankings and any other news that happens in the world of sports and pop culture I'll have for you on the show. I hope you guys have a great day, everyone.